Is this young Chinese aesthetic taste today? Culturally speaking, where does it come from? Can this Chinese business model be copied? Let's demystify this superstardom of Labubu from a perspective of Chinese culture. Before you wonder why this little toothy monster, Labubu, can go viral, we'll start with the entrepreneurship story of Pop Mart, which can also map out a Chinese cultural footprint in recent 2 decades. In 2008, Wang Ning, founder of Pop Mart, still a university student, began his business by starting up a box store. What's a box store? It was a popular business model in late 2010 in China, when Taobao and e-commerce had not grown rampant. The business owner can rent a box in a store at a low price and sell whatever you like, of course, legal products. Born in 1987, Wang's generation experienced a radical transformation in China. His teenager years coincided with a period that China grew into a world manufacturing powerhouse. In late 2000s, Made in China tags could be seen worldwide, but criticisms of poor quality and copycat issues were followed at the early stages. How crazy were the copycat issues then? All the famous IDs and IPs can be found on the cheap versions in China, and do these brands look familiar to you? Then look again. What first drew Wang's attention was the toy industry, not for those small children, but the more fashionable ones for older children. This culture actually originated from China's neighbor country, Japan, when Japan was still in its dominant position in animation and video games. And combined with a Disney style, or to put it more accurately, Disney plus Pixar style. Yes, these figures with large emotive eyes, exaggerated facial expressions, and rounded, appealing shapes. Local artists and animation producers in China had been struggling with this cultural invasion, but the market didn't leave them many chances to create their own national mega IP. So when Wang started his toy business, he could only sell batches of low-qualified and roughly copied products, which turned out to be a failure in the market at first. But Wang has envisioned the variety of the art toys, which differentiated themselves as collectible rather than playful. This type of toy for adults, for grown-up children, were only popular within a small circle at the beginning, as known as subculture. When and how subculture emerged and grew in China is another myth, which I can share in the future episodes if the subscribers of this channel can grow. Anyway, the first few years didn't go well, even though Wang already owned his first flag shop in Beijing in 2010, until he met a game changer, Molly, the signature IP of Pop Mart. This big-eyed girl doll seemed infused an aesthetic of both West and East, and Wang at the same time changed his target customers from male to female. Another creation was his selling mode, the blind box. It was actually not an invention, but rather a nostalgia. It reminded me of buying small snacks in my childhood to collect the small toys and cards. Yes, McDonald's also has that strategy. It is so hard to resist opening one box after another to find the next collection. The story followed had little to do with aesthetics. The e-commerce age has come. The extreme convenience of shopping online in China has remarkably stimulated consumers' shopping desire. A Pop Mart toy at a price range under 100 yuan, approximately $15, has irresistible attractions to young girls. But viral dolls come and go. Every series have their own era. One's smart strategy is to put as many as eggs in different baskets. He has signed many talented toy designers and artists and reserved those exclusive IP for Pop Mart. Among them was the father of Labubu, Long Jiasheng, an artist from Hong Kong. Labubu's success is needless to elaborate now, but you might still wonder why. To be honest, I don't buy those stories of dramatic scenarios. Fighting over Labubu priceless collective versions I don't care who will buy a piece of plastic at an insane price. All has become a game of the capital now. What I care about is that young people in China, why are they so willing to spend so much money on the toys? I say it's a awakening of a value pluralism. You might know the tradition that in Chinese New Year, we Chinese greet each other by saying 恭喜发财, which means may you be rich or make fortune in the coming new year. Yes, that's a very stark love for money. Since the reformat opened up to the outside world from 1979, many Chinese became to realize or acknowledge the importance of fortune, some mindset that was deserted in the Cultural Revolution, and a singular criteria emerged to define the success. How much can you make? Whatever education they received at school, young people find out that well-paid jobs and properties are the ultimate goal of life. Tell me if it is true in the Western world as well by leaving your comments. But in China, what stands out is that this is a uniformed perception, although people hesitate to admit. Like you might wonder why Chinese students always turn out to be academically excellent. That's because their parents only value their academic performance. Children are told if they don't work hard, they can't enter a famous university. And if they don't enter a famous university, they can't find a good job. But things have changed. The young generation born in 1990s and after 2000 still cannot find a good job when they fought all their way through to graduation. To them, life is like the blind box. Unlike the box full of chocolates of Forrest Gump, you don't know what's next. And hence, they began to seek their own beliefs and try to please themselves rather than meet parents' expectations. This explains why little increase is seen in the fertility rate, even though the Chinese government has abolished the one-child policy. Cost of living pressure on one hand, information affluence on the other hand. Cyber indigenous is the universal name of this generation. All young people worldwide can speak one language, even those behind a great firewall. So when young Chinese find out there exist so many other perspectives to see the world, they make their own choices. Squandering money on toys becomes one way of countering the father's generation's prudent attitude toward money. There are others: to be married or to be single, to indulge or to self-discipline, to be stable or to be adventurous, to dream or to be realistic. Life is not only about money to them. Last time when China saw value pluralism was in Republic of China between 1910s and 1940s. That society of nearly half a century incorporated returned students from overseas, foreign colonialists with new knowledge of modernization, local gentry scholars, and the royal from the dying feudalist empire. Different ideologies assimilate, appropriate, explore, cooperate, negotiate, resist, and subvert within this country, which was cut off by the World War II. So, will we see a new rise of value pluralism in China?